Broncos country, the first preseason game is in the books, and I have seen a lot of overreaction on Twitter and other socials. And, while it wasn't the best game, there's still a lot of positive takeaways. It's the preseason, it's the first game that Sean Payton and this new group of guys is playing together. So I still have faith. Now, I do want to say I was going to upload this video yesterday and record it, but I'll be honest, the game, it got over like 11 o'clock Mountain Time, and then when I finished making the presentation or graphics, and it was about midnight, and I'll be honest, guys, I'm getting old. I'm 22 years old, and so I'm getting tired, so I like to get my sleep. So I just went to bed and decided I was going to record it today. But here is the recap. There was a lot of good. I would say I didn't put it in the graphics, but I would say that some notable players in the game, I'm going to say Elijah Garcia got 2 sacks in the same drive. That was big. Jaleel McLaughlin, I think he's going to make the roster, guys. I think he's going to be the running back 3 for this team. I obviously came out with my prediction. I think I'm going to be wrong because I do think Jaleel McLaughlin is going to make the active roster. He's just been super impressive throughout training camp and in the preseason. Ben DiNucci looked really, really solid. So could he maybe win the backup start quarterback job? I don't know. I think he's going to be probably on our practice squad as that third active quarterback that doesn't take up a roster spot. But those are just some guys that I mentioned. I'm trying to think. Jaquan McMillan, he looked pretty solid. But with that being said, let's go ahead. Let's jump into the recap. But first, as always, I have got to preach my message that Jesus is King. I just hope and pray that you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. Believe with your whole heart that Jesus died on the cross for your sins. And if you truly believe that, you'll go to heaven. It's not through our works that we get to heaven, although works are good. It's through our faith and trust that Jesus died on the cross for our sins. And through that faith, that's how we get to heaven. Today's Bible verse that I'm going over is once again in the book of Matthew. It's one of my favorite books in the Bible. And it comes in Matthew chapter 11, and it is verse 27. Now, for those of you who are new to Christianity or don't know, the reason why the text is read is because that's when Jesus is speaking. And so Jesus says here, all things have been committed to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. So pretty much what this is saying is obviously first sentence, all things have been committed to me by my Father. That's Jesus saying all things have been committed to him by his Father, obviously. And then next is no one knows the Son except for the Father. And that's pretty much saying is no one knows Jesus except for Father, which is God in heaven. And no one knows the Father, which is God in heaven, except the Son, which is Jesus. But then I think the key part of this verse, in my opinion, right here is, and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. And by revealing to him, when you get to know Jesus, when you get the Holy Spirit and you get to know who Jesus is, in that way, Jesus reveals who the Father God is through the Son of Jesus. So that's what I interpret it to mean. Again, make sure you do your research. Make sure you read the Bible, you read the verse in context. I'm not trying to spread misinformation. I'm just going off of what I think the verse means. So by all means, please do your own research. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the recap. So I just want to start off with my pregame notes. The Cardinals field looked horrible, and I wrote here, it is making me nervous about a potential injury. It looked so bad. I thought someone was going to slip, tear an ACL, be done for the year. Thankfully, none of that happened. It actually the field looked worse than it was. Now, some players who did not play, notable players who didn't play. Pat Surtain, which I'm thankful Pat Surtain didn't play because of the field condition. Frank Clark, which I thought was interesting, but I believe he'll probably play next week versus San Francisco. Then we have got Javonte Williams, who I'm glad didn't play because if he slipped and retore that ACL, we were going to be in for a long season. Although Samaje Perine did look pretty good in this first game. And then a player that I noticed did not play, who I really thought was going to play, was Marvin Mims. I'm surprised we did not get to see Marvin Mims in action yesterday. I don't know if maybe he had an injury, a minor injury before the game, so they held him out. But I'm really surprised that he did not get a chance to play. But those are some of the notable players, in my opinion, who didn't play. Of course, there's guys like Justin Simmons who had an injury, but these are guys who are healthy, who I thought was going to play, who didn't play. And Javonte Williams did say that he is going to play next week versus San Francisco. So, in the first quarter, Denver gives up a first down on a 3rd and 3. The defense looked really solid, looked like they were going to hold the Cardinals to a 3 and out, but they pick up the first down. Then Colt McCoy is going to find Michael Wilson for the first down. Now, what was interesting here is Denver did challenge. Sean Payton did challenge it, because when I saw that on the screen, it looked like when he was coming back to the ball, he was about a yard short. I was confident that it was going to get overturned, but the ruling did stand, and it was going to be a first down for the Cardinals. And of course, the Broncos are charged with their first timeout. And then Alex Singleton has a huge tackle for loss and forces a 4th down. The Cardinals' punt ended up being a touchback. Now here comes Russell Wilson and the offense. And Wilson's first pass, it was a little bit shaky. He rolled out to his right, and his pass was behind his new tight end, Adam Troutman. Then the Broncos handed off to Samaje Perine, who gains about 3 yards. And it's 3rd and 7 for the Broncos. And Wilson's pass is bad at the line of scrimmage, and it is a 3 and out. And at this point, I am thinking, oh my goodness, please do not be a repeat of last year where the defense is solid, but the offense struggles. And at points on the defense, I was missing Ejiro Evero because his defense was locked down. Where Vance Joseph, it's solid. It's kind of like a bend but don't break, I felt like, how the defense was last night. But yeah. Next up, Denver held the Cardinals, or the Broncos had the Cardinals on a 3rd and 5, but they can't make the stop. And at this point, I'm looking at my feed on Twitter, and it says DJ Jones is being evaluated for a concussion. And I was like, frick, dude. And he did end up having a concussion, which isn't, I guess, necessarily the worst injury when you think of torn ACLs, broken bones, whatever. But it does suck. He probably is going to miss a few weeks. He might miss the start of the regular season. We will have to see. But then Essang Bassey picks off Clayton Tune. Now, let's be honest. Rondale Moore did slip, and Bassey jumps the route and gets the pick because of the slip. But I wrote a note here that said the Cardinals need a better field because of the slip. But that was really one of very few slips that did happen last night. And then the Broncos starters are back out for the second drive. Russell Wilson finds Jerry Jeudy, my favorite player, for a gain of 18 yards. Then the Broncos hand it off to Samaje Perine, who immediately gets hit, and it's about a gain of 1. He was kind of met at the line of scrimmage, I should say, and gains 1. Wilson is then sacked, and 3rd and long coming up for the Broncos. It's a 3rd and 16 is the exact down and distance that I have in my notes for the Broncos. Russell Wilson is pressured, and he tries to shovel past to Samaje Perine, but it ended up being incomplete, I believe. And the field goal unit comes out, and Brett Maher misses the field goal, and it is still 0-0. Now, the kicking game was rough. It was rough. Maher missed a field goal, and he had a field goal that was blocked. Elliott Fry missed one, and then he made one as well, and Matt Prater missed one. So maybe it was something to do with the field, maybe not, but we will have to see. I will say, though, here is my solution. Here's the solution that I've wanted for a while. I even posted on Twitter. Maybe I'll throw a screenshot up right now. We'll have to see how much editing I do, but pretty much my solution is right now the Los Angeles Chargers have 2 solid kickers in Dustin Hopkins and Cameron Dicker. Now, I think that the Chargers are going to keep Cameron Dicker as their kicker because he's younger and he looked pretty solid last season. So I think they're going to cut Dustin Hopkins, because why would you carry 2 kickers on your team? So I think the Broncos should pick up Dustin Hopkins when he inevitably gets cut at the end of preseason. But that's just my solution right there. Next up, Nick Bonitto has a sack, and that sets up a 2nd and 17 for the Cardinals. Tune passes to no one, and a 4th down is coming up. Now, the Broncos starting offense is coming out for a 3rd series, which was really surprising to me. I thought they were going to play 2 series max, but, I'll be honest. I will say it wasn't super surprising. I thought they were going to play about 2, maybe 3 series. We'll get to what surprised me a little bit later down the road. But the Broncos come out for a 3rd series, and it's 1st and 10 from the 27-yard line. Pirine gets a handoff, and he has a hard run. He breaks some tackles, trucks some defenders, and he picks up the 1st down. Then Russell Wilson finds Courtland Sutton for a gain of 13, and that ends up being the end of the 1st quarter. Now moving on to the 2nd quarter, Russell Wilson dumps off a pass to Adam Troutman for a big gain. Then Russell Wilson's pass is tipped, but it is caught for Sutton for a gain of a few yards. I think it was like 3-4 yards. Wilson has trouble and has to get rid of the ball and is hit. 3rd and 17 is coming up for the Broncos. Wilson then fires a deep ball. No receiver in the area for an incomplete pass. And that one, it looked like Courtland Sutton kind of got tied up with the defender. Maybe he kind of gave up on the ball when he kind of ran into that defender and got tangled up. So it's incomplete, and it is 4th down. And then, like I alluded to earlier, Elliott Fry misses a field goal. So both kickers are officially 0 for 1, and I am nervous about the kicking position this season. So maybe the Broncos should look at some kickers coming out. There's some solid kickers coming out of college if they want to draft one, but we will have to see. So the first flag of the game finally gets thrown in the 2nd quarter, and it is going to be an illegal formation by the Cardinals, and it's 1st and 15 for the Cardinals. They don't really do anything on first, or they don't do anything on first. They get like a gain of 2. Then Clayton Tune scrambles for no gain. It was like he was in the pocket, and then he had to roll out, dance backwards, and then he scrambled, but he only got back to the line of scrimmage after a long run going from sideline to sideline. And it's 3rd and 13 for the Cardinals. And then Tune finds a wide open receiver for the 1st down. And this is where I was kind of starting to miss Ejiro Evero just a little bit. But again, it's not necessarily the play call. It's preseason. It's the depth guys. It's the guys who are not necessarily going to be your starters at this point. Then a screen pass is broken up by Bonitto. He made a monster hit on that screen play. Now, I don't know if it happened on this play, but I did see that later in the game, Nick Bonitto was out because of a hip injury. I don't know if he was taken out just for precautionary reasons or what the reasons were, but Bonitto did have a hip injury. I did see it was said on the Broncos broadcast. Then Matt Prater's field goal attempt is no good, so all kickers to this point were 0 for 3, and it is still 0-0. Now, at this point, this is what surprised me. Russell Wilson and the first-team offense were still in, and I think Peyton just wanted to see a solid drive, moving down the field. That's why he kept them in. Samaje Perine starts it off with an 11-yard gain. Then Russell Wilson finds Courtland Sutton for a gain of 27 yards. Next play, Wilson finds Adam Troutman for a gain of 4. And they hand it off to Samaje Perine the next play, and is immediately met at the line of scrimmage for a gain of 1. It's 3rd and 5, and Wilson throws it to Judy, but it was bobbled and dropped by Judy. And Judy hasn't had a drop problem in 2 years, let's be honest. But on the Cardinals broadcast, they said, yeah, Judy has had problems catching the football and had a problem with drops. It's like, dude, that was 2 years ago. Stop living in the past. Whatever. Just kind of a pet peeve. But the next play on 4th down, the Broncos are going for it. Wilson throws it back to Judy. He was wide open. He absolutely just made his man slip and fall down. Wide open. Touchdown, Broncos. and Brett Maher's PAT barely squeaks in. It was up. It was not in the center. It was cutting close, and it was right by that right post. It was right there, but it is in. All that matters is it's in, and it is 7-0 Broncos. Next up, Toon scramble. Toon ends up scrambling, but ends up being short of the yardage marker. The Cardinals end up going for it on 4th down. It's a QB sneak. First down pickup by Clayton Tune. Clayton Tune then sails a pass over the head of Dortch, and the punting unit comes on for the Cardinals. Montreal Washington is deep to return for the Broncos, and it was down inside the 2-yard line. Replay, though, did show that the ball touched out at the 20-yard line, so it's 1st and 10 Broncos from the 20. At this point, this second-team offense is in for the Broncos. Jarrett Stidham in at quarterback. Stidham's pass is then knocked down by Keitrell Clark. It's 3rd and 9 for the Broncos, and Keitrell Clark was a rookie who I was looking at for potentially the Broncos to draft. Obviously didn't. Ends up going to the Cardinals. And it's 3rd and 9 for the Broncos, and Stidham's pass is intended for Marquez Callaway. No. The pass that was knocked down by Keitrell Clark was intended for Marquez Callaway, and it ends up being 3rd and 9. Then Jarrett Stidham finds a wide open LaJordan Humphrey for 27 yards. Stidham's next pass was tipped at the line of scrimmage for an incomplete pass. Stidham then with a deep ball intended for Jalen Virgil. It ends up being incomplete, and it's 3rd and 10. Stidham was then sacked by Cam Thomas for a loss of 3. Holding was called on the Broncos, but it was declined, so it is 4th down, and the punting unit comes on. And Riley Dixon had his first punt, which I didn't mention, was very shaky, but the next punt ended up being a solid one. It was a long punt, but it ended up rolling too far for a touchback. It's 2nd and 10, but Toon draws the offsides. It's called a neutral zone infraction on the Broncos, and it is 2nd and 5. Toon then scrambles 1 yard shy of the first down, but holding is called in this 2nd 15 for the Cardinals. Toon scrambles again for a couple and slides down after like a gain of 2-3, and Denver call our 2nd timeout. Then Clayton Tune completes a pass for a gain of a couple on 4th down. We call our final timeout. Montreal Washington on the punt return. He runs it back to about the 44, kind of slips and takes a hit at the same time before going down. But the Broncos are trying to drive and score some points before halftime. Stidham was hit as he throws for an incomplete pass, and it is 2nd and 10. Jarrett Stidham then finds Marquez Callaway, and it is 3rd and 2. The Broncos try and hurry it up, but it is a false start, which causes a 10-second runoff, the clock goes from 41 seconds to 31 seconds, and it is 3rd and 8 for the Broncos. Stidham is almost sacked, but he dumps it off to Tyler Beatty, who also had a solid game, I would say. Dumps it off to Tyler Beatty, and he goes down, and instead of trying to spike the ball, the Broncos offense runs off the field. They run the field goal unit on, but the Cardinals call a timeout. And I wrote in my notes here, the Broncos are saved by the Cardinals when they call the timeout, because if I'm honest, I do not think we would have got that field goal off. Now, I get it. The Cardinals probably didn't have the right personnel out there for a field goal block, but I do not think the Broncos would have gotten the field goal off had the Cardinals not called that timeout. I'll be honest, but Elliott Fry, his 50-yard field goal attempt, or his 55-yard field goal attempt, rather, is good, and the Broncos have a 10-0 lead at the end of the first half. So at halftime, the Broncos have a 10-0 lead, and I'm feeling kind of good. It's preseason, so I like what I'm seeing so far from the depth players. Maybe not so much from the starters, but we'll have to see more from them next week. But it is now the third quarter, and Stidham is under pressure, and he throws the ball away, and it's 3rd and 6. Stidham then scrambles for a first down. The next play, the Broncos give it to Jalen Virgil on a jet sweep, and he picks up 25 yards on the play. On the handoff to Beatty, he then picks up 4 yards, and it is 2nd and 6. Stidham then finds LaJordan Humphrey, but his pass is dropped by Humphrey. And then the very next play, I won't say the very next play because I didn't write down every play, but later in that drive, Jarrett Stidham's pass was intercepted by Antonio Hamilton, and that was in field goal range. So the Broncos don't get a capitalize, don't get any points after Jarrett Stidham throws the interception to Antonio Hamilton. I then, on the next drive here, I then said Clayton Tune is looking very sharp. I thought he was one of the better quarterbacks in this past draft, throwing a first down to the 46. Holding on the defense by the Broncos gives the Cardinals an automatic first down. A huge run by the Cardinals then later follows, eventually pushed out by the Broncos' new signed cornerback Fabian Moreau. The Cardinals then have a nice drive going, but a face mask on the Cardinals moves the offense back, and it is 3rd and 23. Clayton Tune, with a very solid completion, picks up 13 yards, makes it more manageable for a field goal, and I just think they were playing prevent defense there, just preventing them from getting the first down. Prater's field goal attempt is good, and it is 10-3. Broncos still lead the game. Broncos' second team offense is mounting a solid drive. Stidham takes off for a big gain. It's 1st and 10 Broncos. Then Tyler Beatty with a 12-yard run. Stidham and Virgil were not on the same page as the pass is incomplete. Stidham threw a go ball, but it looked like Virgil came back for it. It looked like it was kind of an option route that Virgil just didn't make the right decision on, and so it ends up being incomplete. Beatty runs hard for a gain of 4 to 5 yards, but holding on Kyle Fuller, not the corner, the offensive lineman, negates the run, and it is 2nd and 20 for the Broncos. Then the Broncos set up a screen play to Tyler Beatty, which only gains a couple yards, but another flag, and that's going to be on the rookie out of South Florida, Demontre Jacobs, and it's not 3rd and long. It is 2nd and 30. Coming up, Jarrett Stidham dumps it off to Tony Jones Jr., but he gains like 6 yards, and it's 3rd and 24. And the Broncos try another screen play, which was, I will say, is interesting, but it's tipped and it falls incomplete. Brett Maher comes on for a 52-yard field goal, but instead of missing this time it is blocked. So the Cardinals still have the lead the 52-yarder is blocked by the Cardinals, but the Broncos still have the lead 10-3. Jaquan McMillan then picks up a sack on the cornerback blitz, and the Cardinals converts on their offensive drive on 3rd and 11 for a new set of downs, but that ends the 3rd quarter, and we are coming up on the 4th quarter now. The 4th quarter, the Broncos miss many tackles, and the Cardinals pick up the first down. It was kind of a theme: broken tackles, missing tackles for the Broncos. That's something we got to get better at. The Cardinals are driving, and it's 1st and goal from the 10-yard lines, and then Clayton Tune finds Caden Davis for a Cardinals touchdown, and it is a 10-10 ball game. Now, if you look at the picture on the left, that is Caden Davis. He plays for the Cardinals now. I know he's in a Broncos uniform, but he does play for the Cardinals now. If you guys remember last year, Caden Davis was an undrafted free agent signing by the Broncos out of, I think it was like Northeast Missouri State, one of those small colleges. Was on the Broncos practice squad last season, but he's on the Cardinals this year, and he ends up scoring the touchdown for the Cardinals, which makes it the 10-10 game. Ben DiNucci now is in at quarterback for the Broncos, and DiNucci dumps it down for Tommy Hudson for a little to no gain. Then Tony Jones Jr. Picks up 5 yards and makes it 3rd and 3 for the Broncos. DiNucci then finds Michael Bandy for a first down. Tony Jones Jr. then with another small gain, 3 to 4 yards. Once again, another carry for Tony Jones Jr. This one only picks up 1 this time, and it is a 3rd and 5 coming up for the Broncos. DiNucci throws a deep ball for Michael Bandy, but Bandy never saw it, and so the punting unit is coming on. At this point, I wrote in my notes, where is Marvin Mims? I haven't seen him all night, so I still haven't seen an update, so hopefully we see something on Twitter. I haven't heard anything. But yeah, we'll have to see. And at this point, David Blau is now in at quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. David Blau can't connect with his tight end Whiteheart, and it is 3rd and 5 for the Cardinals. Blau rolls out and finds Whiteheart, who picks up a first down, but there's a flag on the play. It's going to be defensive holding on the Broncos, which is declined, and the Cardinals pick up the first down. The Broncos, with a big tackle for loss on that play, second long coming up for the Broncos. And 2 players that I want to mention here is I saw J.L. Skinner in on that tackle, rookie 6th-round pick, and Chris Allen, undrafted free agent out of Alabama, who I'm super high on, both in there on that play. Next up, Blau's pass is behind his receiver, and it brings up 3rd and 14. Blau steps up, and his throw is incomplete, but a late flag comes in. It is going to be pass interference on Tremon Smith, first down Arizona. Now, he was a free agent signing for the Broncos, I think a 3-year deal, and I think the main reason the Broncos signed him was mostly to be a returner, but he hasn't really gotten many return reps that I've seen. So he's mostly going to probably play corner, which I find interesting. There's some other guys who I would like to see. Someone who might have played that I didn't see because maybe I wasn't paying attention. Art Green, someone who I might want to make the roster over Tremon Smith. We'll have to see. I just hope Tremon Smith is able to step up his game because, in my opinion, he didn't have the best of games. But yeah, after that, pass interference, David Blau is sacked by Elijah Garcia, and it is 2nd and 17 coming up. David Blau then has a 5-yard pass to Cobbs, who's one of their, I think he was an undrafted free agent signing out of the University of Maryland, and it's 3rd and 13 for the Cardinals. David Blau is once again sacked by Elijah Garcia, making his presence felt. Kendall Hinton is then deep to return for the Broncos on the punt, and it is fair caught at the 11. In the final minutes, whoa, I made a mistake here. Let me cut right real quick, and then I'll be back. Just kidding. I did not make a mistake. I thought I did. But Jaleel McLaughlin has a 7-yard run. Ben DiNucci then finds Taylor Grimes for the first down. DiNucci, once again, goes back to Taylor Grimes for another 9 yards. McLaughlin with a hard run to move the chains. DiNucci finds Michael Bandy for a gain of 6 yards. DiNucci's pass is incomplete, which was intended for Taylor Grimes. It's 3rd and 4th for the Broncos just before the 2-minute warning. DiNucci starts to scramble, but before he passes the line of scrimmage, he kind of pitches it to Michael Bandy, who picks up the first down. And the 2-minute warning is then called. Then there's a screen pass to Jaleel McLaughlin, who picks up the first down and more, about 13 yards on the play. McLaughlin then turns what was certainly a negative play into a decent gain of 5 yards. Ben DiNucci with a crazy sack avoidance, who fires it downfield for Taylor Grimes. It's incomplete, kind of an underthrow, but Grimes still should have caught it. He had both hands on it, but a flag is thrown, and it's going to be pass interference on Antonio Hamilton, and it's 1st and goal Broncos. And Jaleel McLaughlin with a touchdown. It is 17-10 Broncos with about a minute and a half remaining, and here is where the downfall starts. Blau escapes a sack, throws, but his receiver drops the pass, and it's 2nd and 10. Blau with a quick completion. It is 3rd and 3 Cardinals. Blau then finds Whiteheart the next play for a gain of 13 and steps out of bounds with less than a minute to go. I think it was at like about 59 seconds exactly. Blau's pass is incomplete. It is intended for the undrafted free agent Cobbs, who is on the right. Blau then finds a wide open receiver for a gain of 25 yards, and an instant timeout comes in from the Cardinals. Blau with a deep pass to the end zone. Tremon Smith in coverage. He actually had pretty solid coverage. I'm not going to lie there. He had pretty solid coverage there on the deep throw. Blau with a quick throw. 3rd and 2 coming up. Cardinals in a hurry. They did not call their final timeout. Blau with another quick pass to pick up the first down. Tackle made inbounds with 14 seconds to go. Blau within then throws it to the end zone, passes incomplete. David Blau then rolls to the right and finds a wide open receiver in the end zone, and there is blown coverage there. And the Cardinals have essentially come right back in this game. But the Cardinals are going for 2 because there is no overtime in the preseason game. So it either isn't a tie or you can go for the win, which obviously the Cardinals did, and I would have done the same thing if I was in their position. The Broncos can't make the tackle. It was a run play. I thought they could have stopped him behind the line, but they just can't make the tackle, and the running back keeps plowing forward, and the 2-point conversion is successful, and the Cardinals take the lead 17-18, and that ends up being the final score. Broncos 17, Cardinals 18. Now, it's tough to lose. It's always tough to lose, especially in that fashion, but there was a lot of bright spots for the Broncos that I saw in this preseason game. A lot to improve on, though, for next week, so I will be back with some more videos soon. If you want to look down in the description below, I probably will have a link to a channel, which I think is going to be my second channel. I want to start a Madden franchise if you guys are interested, but I'm not good at video games, so just be warned. And then also I will have some more mock drafts, or 2 mock drafts for the Broncos coming out. Same video. It'll be released sometime before the regular season, but I hope you did enjoy. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. Thank you for watching. My name is Parker, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.